Let's continue the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles with the episode Istanbul, September 1918, written by Rosemary Ann Sisson, directed by Mike Newell. This is one of the few episodes near the end of the show which doesn't have old indie bookends, sadly, because they already knew, this shit was over, the show was getting cancelled, and so they just didn't film any more old indie bookends. That's, as far as I know, that's the reason why. Because the scripts for these couple episodes would be done and they would shoot all of the bookends at once by a separate crew would do that while the main episodes were getting shot. As far as I'm aware, that's how that happened earlier with the episodes at least. It's a shame. It's a shame. We're still gonna get some old indie. This episode itself, so we just start in the past. Indy is still working as a spy. He's in Istanbul, and Indy is undercover as a Swedish reporter named Niels Andersson, and he's supposed to make a peace treaty with Mustafa Kemal, and that's an interesting plot going on because the Mustafa Kemal character is interesting with the little screen time he gets. He's fascinating. There's conspiracy going on. There's a traitor within Indy's, companions, his co-spies. But in the middle of it is also the plot that Indy, in his identity as Niels Andersson, has gotten engaged with a local woman named Molly. And, one thing leads to the other, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but it is a good, dramatic spy episode. I like it. I just think the relationship between Molly and Indy is fine, but it should have been more developed. I don't quite feel it. And there's also a factor to consider with the old indie bookends missing. This episode, I have read the bookends. The script is available for those, unmade bookends. It would still have been a dramatic and dark and tragic episode, but the old indie bookends would have saved it a little bit and given it a more bittersweet ending, which this episode now, without them, doesn't have. It's just bitter. A very tragic... It's the darkest ending of an episode so far, I think. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I liked it much more than on my first viewing, which was in the George Lucas Shitty Adventures re-edit, where you get this episode as the first half, and then the second half is the episode with Dracula. You don't wanna mix these together that way. I get that they are in chronological order, and one happens after the other, but tonally, that is such a fucking whiplash. That is the worst pairing of episodes in the Adventures re-edits, maybe. It's my go-to example why you shouldn't watch them at all. You should watch these original restored versions on YouTube instead. So in total, I would definitely recommend Istanbul, September 1918. It may be a little bit of an underrated episode for me now. And next time, we get, even on my first viewing, one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. Paris, May 1919.